Let it ride real quick. Look. The city out. It's time to vote God. My God, a real nigga. Cause he want no flaw. Posted on the corner like a watchdog. Family secure. Got that shot in the closet by the mop ball. Fuck what they heard. But tell them it's all true. Be cautious. That foundation forces you fall through. They gon' fall. Look, I keep this shit 50 times 2 times. Ain't no more heart in this game. I'm John Q. Colder than the avalanche. Way above average. Beers tasty. Told him make me an apple tree. Left this in the valley. Flip phones. This my whole fam. Java close band. Dark shades get broke down. Brand new Evans to a wall quad. Telling me how the crackers turn the shower into a ghost town. Focus stop, nigga. I lay that game down. I feel his pain cause nothing is the same now. Never like shine like heaven through a rain cloud. Glock have a fit like my child. No chance. Try to want to make them other niggas rap. I make anthems for it. I really see profits under this banner. Made my enemies bow down on camera. Told my design I want it black and white like a panda. I'm better than that nigga that's so dirty to handle. Look, I move like a precious cargo, spirit Asian, but I got a grand Jimmy Arno. Wave that bitch around like where's Arno. Leave if they won't, I cut through they Z's like I'm Zorro. Hating for his name, so I gotta keep that steel clutch. Trust me, I'm not what you think. I squeeze till it click like Dorothy when the heels touch. The world got me dumb, I don't feel much. Round round me, y'all down, just left the state race. Looking for a bitch better than baby kids. Remember I dropped Quiet Storm, I've been gone ever since. Still in the field, fuck them niggas on the fence, yeah.
I'm in a hell of a hole, was never expected to grow. This obstacle sat in the road, that a resort of me selling my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's what everyone knows. The white man, the devil is known. America was never our home. Only a place of captivity, safe facility, hating, disfiguring me. They claim that I'm lazy, be killing me. Maybe this slavery 400 years and counting. The trail of my tears is countless. The fact that I'm here is astounding, but I can't wait till this shit is surrounded. Ready to tangle my king and the angel, be ready to rap. Crack in the sky, nuclear missiles to make it official. I'm capturing every crack of surviving. Put them all in chains where they need to be. Slavery for me. And let the whole world see that when I'm in the cage and safer in the streets. Put the dog on a leash. Get resolved for the beast. 144, get the brutal show, we can all be at peace. As soon as the trumpets are sound, your kingdom we busting it down. The only way justice is found, the time for your judgment is now.
You see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. Payback is a dog. Payback is a dog. Payback is a dog.
my blood slip, it won't be no compromise. Now it's time to feed the worms. Watch his body turn to flies. I clutch iron while you trust the lies. The next Glock I buy gon' be Gen 5. I get it customized. And sending shots off like farewell. Praying payback come back around like a carousel. Still remember y'all ringing in my head like bells. Said you in this body, you fit the Lord, fuck the cartel. Triangle choker, plot presence to the game like I did Vondale. Payback's a bitch in a dress. She a bombshell, just dish served cold. I just hope they make an oxtail. Glock fresh out the box, I swear it got that new car smell. Made myself a target in the world of mad shooters. There was design 5 for our babies to pass through it. The damn my king's reign, I'll be overzealous. They bought my jealous, I bought brand new Parabellum.
You'll see just how it feels. Payback is a no. Payback is a no.
The ISUPK under Commander General Yohana started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. This is the ISUPK Kentucky Monday Night History class. And I am Zabak Yasharala. And my topic for tonight, I'll be talking about the history on King James being a black man. And with that being said, I'm going to go into the Bible and give you some scriptures along with breakdown. But when I go into the Bible tonight, I'm going to show you color in the Bible. I'm going to show you how the Most High God has put color in the Bible. And there's a reason for that. It's a reason for that. Because when you look at the Bible was written in metaphors, and but everybody that's in the Bible, everybody that's in the Bible is a so-called black person. From start to finish. It talks about one so-called white person, and that is Jacob's brother, his twin brother, which is Esau. I'm gonna kind of touch on that a little bit, but I'm gonna use that as a comparison to show you something. But we have all been fed lies about King James. We have all been fed lies about King James, saying that King James was a so-called white man. King James slept among men. King James was a homosexual, things of that nature. But that is far from the truth. And and that is all lies. And that's lies that have been told by people to have you to look at the Bible like, I don't want nothing to do with the Bible. I don't want to read the Bible and things of that nature. Because I too have heard them stories, and it kept me from reading the Bible, from really, getting into the Bible. But when I came into the truth, when I came into the ISUPK and the Commander General Yohana, I see why we are called home of the truth. I see why the ISUPK is called home of the truth. Because you're going to get nothing but the truth in here. And I had to say to myself, I had to forget everything that I was taught in school. I had to forget all the lies that I was told in Christianity. I had to forget all the lies that I have heard about King James, all the lies that I have heard about the Bible. I had to forget all of that. A lot of people like to say that I'm brainwashed. I tell them, man, look, you should try being brainwashed. You should try having your brain washed. You should try the truth. Real simple. Real simple. You should try the truth. You should try the truth. And it's nothing like it, because once you start hearing the truth, it's nothing that you know how to defend that lie. You know how to shut that lie down. You know how to say, yo, come on, stop. And I have heard so many lies till, like, one of the lies that I have heard, that a so-called white man wrote the Bible. But to debunk that real quick, it's no way a white man have written King James 1611 Bible. Real simple. Because the first 5 books of the Torah, Moses written that. And once you come into the truth of the Bible, it's no way that a so-called white man has written that Bible, because in that Bible, the Most High God has chosen a certain people, and he has put these people above all people that are upon the face of this earth. And it's no way that a so-called white man gonna put a so-called Mexican above him. It's no way that a so-called white man is going to put a Haitian above him, a so-called Haitian, a so-called Jamaican. It's no way. It's no way. It's no way. That don't make no kind of sense. So when you really come into the truth of the Bible, you will know that, especially hearing the truth, hearing the ISUPK and the Commander General Yohana, it's no. And for one, ain't no white man that smart. Ain't no white man that smart. There's no way that a so-called white man has written that Bible, because once you read in Obadiah talks of his death. It talks of his death. Obadiah talks of the Most High saying, how, I'm paraphrasing when I say this, that how he is not going to be in existence no more. How, getting rid of him off the face of this earth. So the way that the so-called white man carried himself today, no, he did not write that Bible. He ain't had nothing to do with the Bible. Not nothing. Now, I had taught a class when it talks about like the history of the Bible. I did a class on the history of the Bible. Now, when it comes to like the NIV, the NSV, the ESV, Salaki, the New King James Version, Like them books, yeah, he has written them books. He has written them books because once you start going in and reading the King James Version, the 1611, you're going to see that this Bible is relating to black people, so-called black people, so-called black people. I mean, from start to finish. And you know, the Bible was written in metaphors. Case in, you know, when you look in the Garden of Eden, when the Most High was dealing with Adam, and he was dealing with Eve. So you know when it says that the serpent came upon Eve, and you know supposedly had bitten at it. But let's just touch on for ain't no snake can talk to a woman, not even a man. And that's like, I'm gonna give you an example. That's like you take for instance, I'm gonna just use some characters right now. Say it's me and I'm talking to my man Poochie, and he telling me, he said, yo man, I heard Day Day a rat. We know Day Day ain't walking around, we know Day Day ain't crawling around on all four with a tail. You know, when you hear somebody that's a rat, you automatically, yo, you know they're a snitch. But a snitch is describing the characteristics of a person and what he is doing, what he is about. So when you look at this serpent that beguiled Eve, that tricked Eve, you know that this serpent is talking about the characteristics of a person. That ain't no different if I say, yo, I mean, like, yo, my man T, man, yo, this nigga's a snake, man. You know, I'm not saying that he is crawling around on his belly. I'm saying, I'm talking about and be trusted. Yo, you gotta watch out for him. You cannot trust him. Yo, he is out to get you. So, with that being said, what people on the face of this earth talks like that? That's using metaphors. That's like how the oppressors like to say that so-called black people, they talk with ebonics. Don't nobody talk like us. Don't nobody talk like us. Don't nobody describe certain things like us. You know, the so-called our oppressor, they don't talk like us. They don't move like us. So you know, with that being said, when you start reading the Bible and you getting a full breakdown and you getting a full understanding, because only in the ISUPK under Commander General Hunter you gonna get that. You're not gonna get that nowhere else. You is not gonna get that nowhere else. That's why it is said that we are home of the truth, established in 1969. You is not gonna get this full breakdown. So once you do get this full breakdown, even if you catch us on doing camp times and you getting a breakdown, if you have an open mind and you not coming listen to us in that state of mind of Christianity, you will get an understanding and you will see that, okay, this Bible, yes, this Bible was written by black men, men of the Most High God, because the Most High God has put his spirit on certain men to write of his words. Like I said, even with Moses, the first 5 books of the Torah, even the first 5 books that was translated with the authorization of King James. But King James did not write the Bible. He did not. He authorized men to translate his Bible from out of Hebrew and Greek to English. And King James, he spoke more than one language. I want to say he spoke about, I think it's about like 3 or 4. I'm going to try to touch on them. But with that being said, like I said, once you get a full understanding, once you get this understanding from the ISUPK and the Commander General Hunter, you would know that the Bible, as you know it today, the King James Version 1611, has nothing to do with nothing but black people, so-called black people. So-called blacks, let me be a little more specific. So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. That book is Black history. That book was written by black people, for black people, to black people. And nobody, because when you look at these other nations, they have their own gods. They have their own gods. But just like that Bible was written by black people, today, here in the ISUPK, we serve a nigga God. We ain't serving no other. We serving the God of Israel. We are serving the God of Israel. Like everybody else got their own, so why can't we have ours? Because once we opened that Bible and found out, since 1969 here in the ISUPK and the Commander General Hunter, we've been serving a nigga God ever since. And it was an honorable thing unto the Most High for him to put that spirit on King James to have the Torah translated from Hebrew and Greek into English. But you have some King James that have been translated into Spanish also. But I'm going to touch on a little article speaking about King James. Plus I have King James was royalty. I mean, black royalty at that. Say King James I of England, who authorized the translation of the now famous King James Bible, was considered by many to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest monarchs that England has ever seen. Through his wisdom and determination, he united the warring tribes of Scotland into a unified nation and then joined England and Scotland to form the foundation of what is now known as the British Empire. At a time when only the churches of England possessed the Bible in English, King James' desire was that the common people should have the Bible in their native tongue. Thus, in 1603, King James called 54 of history's most learned men together to accomplish this great task at a time when the leaders of the world wished to keep their subjects in spiritual ignorance. King James offered his subjects the greatest gift that he could give them, their own copy of the word of the Most High in English. King James, who was fluent in Latin, Greek, and French, and schooled in Italian and Spanish. Even wrote a tract entitled Counterblast to Tobacco, which was written to help throw off the use of tobacco in England. Such a man was sure to have enemies. Yes. King James was a king of King of Great Britain, France, and Ireland. King James was a black man, and the King James Bible is named after King James I of England, who lived from June 19, 1566 to March 27, 1625. The established church was divided during this era. In 1603, King James called a conference in the Hampton Court in an attempt to resolve issues. As a result, a new translation and compilation of approved books of the Bible was commissioned to resolve issues with translations then being used. For example, the Geneva version contained controversial marginal notes that proclaim the Pope as an antichrist, which he is. The leaders of the church desired a Bible for the people with scriptural references only for word clarification and cross-references. King James approved 54 scholars to work on the translation, and 47 worked in 6 groups at 3 locations of 7 years, comparing to previous English translations, such as the Geneva Bible, and text in the original languages. The new translation was published in 1611 and called the Authorized Version because it was authorized to be read in the churches. It later became known as the King James Version. Salaki. As usual, Edomites are feeding us lies. They started this whole lie and said King James was a homosexual. The one who started this rumor was Anthony Weldon. He wanted vengeance for being excluded from King James Court. So in 1650, 25 years after the death of James Weldon, saw his chance. And with that being said, King James knew that the Most High separated us from these people. The Most High separated us from these people. Because when you look at Deuteronomy chapter 20, Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6. When you look at Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 15. First Chronicles chapter 16, verse 22. This right here plainly tells you that the Most High separated us and he put us above all nations. And when I say us, I'm talking about the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. And he chose us out of 18 nations. He chose Israelites to be near and dear to his heart, his chosen people. So Anthony Weldon, he wanted vengeance for being excluded from James Court. So in 1650, 25 years after the death of King James, Weldon saw his chance. He wrote a paper calling King James a homosexual. Obviously, King James, being dead, was in no condition to defend himself. The report was largely ignored since there were still enough people alive who knew it wasn't true. In fact, it lay dormant for years until recently, when it was picked up by Christians who hoped that vilifying King James would tarnish the Bible that bears his name, so that most, if not all, would turn away from the Most High Scroll book to a more modern translation. It seems, though, that Weldon's false account is working because a lot of the Most High people refuse to read or to get to know the book because of this elaborate and demeaning lie. The usual for our stiff-necked people. And blacks once ruled all Europe. We were all royalty because we came from the bloodline of Jacob. But with that being said, we fell out of our rulership because we sinned against the Most High. We sinned against the Most High, and the Most High put us into captivity under these other 17 nations. But the one that is at the top of the chain is these Edomites. And they just had us in slavery for like 400 plus years. 400 plus years. And these people, they know what's up by coming at us and telling us about King James and things of that nature. But I'm gonna show you a picture of King James and how, even the picture itself, how he is royalty. And this is royalty at its highest. This is royalty at its highest. This is moving slow. Let me back it up. Man, I done got too close. So lock it, Israel. Y'all forgive me. Forgive me. I don't know why I brought this so close. So I gotta show you. This is King James. Even when you look at how he's dressed, he is dressed royalty. He is dressed royalty. And but King James, no other. He's wow. They won't even show up. But I have another picture of him. Salaki Israel. I have another picture of King James. I don't know why this is showing so slow. This is a picture of King James. And I hope y'all can see it. But for the record, King James is a so-called black man. Yes, that's him. King James is a so-called black man from the tribe of, he's an Israelite from the tribe of Judah. And it's no getting around that. It's no getting around that. It's no getting around that, you know. They have been lied to us for years so that we wouldn't go into the scriptures and really learn of us. They don't want us to learn of us. You know, telling us that you colored, Afro, they even put the dictionary for the word nigga. Like, dang, I forgot the word. It's like dang, I forgot the word. The definition. Like, it's really supposed to be like an insult, like you real dumb or things of that nature. But, you know, the earth has been given into the hands of the wicked. So, you know, they're going to write and say this and say that, get you not to hold on to what is really rightfully ours. Because Yahushua, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, he was a nigger. God, a nigger. Everybody in the Bible, all the prophets, all the priests, niggas. The only so-called white person that's in that Bible is Esau. And I'm going to touch a little bit on that. But, you know, it's just me touching that about Esau, that's just a little comparison. It's a little comparison, though. But, you know, when you look at the King James Version, the 1611 Bible, you know, it also has color in it. And when I say color, I mean a distinctive color, describing people down to a T. And just to touch, I'm a sidebar for a second about color, but I'm gonna go a little bit more into detail. But I'm gonna talk about Esau and how Esau is described. And when you go to Exodus chapter 25. Exodus 25, verse 'Salaki, I meant to say Genesis. Genesis chapter 25, start at verse 23. And the Most High God said unto, and this is Isaac's wife, and this is the Most High talking to Rebekah. And the Most High said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. So now I'm gonna jump down to verse 25. And the first came out red all over, like a hairy garment. And they called his name Esau. So when you look at the so-called white man today, and the reason we say so-called, because he is not the color of white. He is not the color of white. So when you look at the so-called white man, he is red. And he is hairy all over. The reason he is red because you can see the blood that is flowing through his veins. That's like if you touch him with your fingertip, you're going to leave a red mark. You ain't really got to touch him that hard. But I'm going to read verse 26, then I'm going to touch more on verse 25. Verse 26, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. So when you look at this right here, you got to ask yourself, why is it out of these two twins, it's describing Esau and not Jacob? It's real practical. The reason it's describing Esau and not Jacob, because this is the first time that a so-called white baby came forth. Because Jacob was regular. Jacob was a regular child. Jacob looked like he was the color of his mother, his father. He was the color of his uncle, color of his aunts, color of his cousins. But Esau came out as a so-called white baby. He was red and hairy all over. What manner of people are red upon the face of the earth today, and they are hairy all over? So-called white people. So-called white people. And this is why they are describing Esau and not Jacob. Because Jacob came out regular. Jacob was a regular baby. He was a regular baby. And when you look at Genesis chapter 43, and I'm going to read like to the bottom. And it said Esau, the father of the Edomites. Esau is the father of the Edomites. So, like I said, you have 18 nations upon the face of the earth. And the so-called white man today, biblical name is Edomite. So-called white woman and their kids fall up under Edomites. They fall up under Edomites. This name ain't no different when you look at our Mexican brothers and sisters. They biblical name. And the father of the so-called Mexicans, his name was Issachar. They would be called Issacharites. They would be called Issacharites. Ain't no different than King James. he would have been called a nigger. No, he done heard that before. I know he had been called that. But the biblical name for the so-called Negro is Judah or Judite. And the word Jew is short for Judah. But you know, these names, we have took on these names from out of slavery. The name just changed through slavery. That's all. The name just changed through slavery. So I touched bases on showing you how when Jacob was born, how they didn't describe him compared to them describing Esau, because Esau was an unfamiliar face. Esau was born as a so-called white baby. He was born as a so-called white baby. Jacob was a regular child. Jacob was a regular child. That's why he wasn't being described, because he was regular. So now I'm going to give you more color, but I'm going to give you color of our people. I'm going to give you color according to so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. I'm going to give you color according to our people in the Bible, that who the Most High God has put this color in the Bible. And there's a reason for that. It's a reason for that, because these things have never been discussed in no Christian church. If it has been, I mean, I'm not saying that I have been to every Christian church there was, but for the ones that I have been to, I never heard this. I never heard this. So, I'm going to start with the Most High God. I'm going to give you the color of him. I'm going to go to Daniel chapter 7, verse 9. And this is Daniel. But Daniel has had a vision. But Daniel, his vision, he has seen the Most High God. Not like he's laying upon a bed, so it's more so like a dream. It is more so like a dream. But it's not like he actually seen him with the naked eye. Because no one has ever seen the Most High God with a naked eye. No. So this is more so like a vision. Because when you go like in Daniel chapter 7, verse 1, it tells you this. But I'm going to just touch on how the Most High looked according to what Daniel said, his vision upon him laying upon his bed. Daniel chapter 7, verse 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. So this is describing how the Most High looked. So we all know what wool looks like. And we know there's a certain people that possess woolly hair. It is a certain people that possess woolly hair. I mean, and everybody has had somebody in their family that has had an afro, cut and dry. Everybody has had someone in their family that has had an afro. If not, you have seen an afro. If you're a so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, man, woman, you have seen somebody with an afro that looks like you. So, it's no getting around that. There's no getting around that. Because, like I said, that woolly hair belongs to only one nation of people. One nation of people. And that's God's chosen people. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to describe what Yahweh shall look like, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. Go to Revelation chapter 1. And I'm going to start at verse 13. And in the midst of the seven candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and a girdle about the paps with a golden girdle. So if you know anything about garments, and I done seen some fly garments. So a girt about the paps, with a golden girdle. This ain't got nothing to do with a golden girdle has nothing to do with what a woman has on. This right here it's like a belt that the Most High wore around like his stomach, going all the way around his stomach to his back, and then come back around. But it was made out of gold. So this lets you know that the Most High, that Yahweh, he was a dresser. He dressed. Verse 14, his head and his hairs were white like wool. So this is talking about the color, but it's also talking about the texture. So the texture of the hair was wool. So something that a sheep has. But like I said, we also know people possess woolly hair. And these are people of color. I'm going to read that again. Verse 14, his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. And the reason Yahweh's eyes was like a flame of fire, because he drank wine. And I give it to you. Look at Genesis chapter 49. Genesis 49 and 12. And it said, his eyes shall be red with wine. His eyes shall be red with wine. So now let's go on to verse 15. His feet like unto fine brass. Even if you look at me, my skin tone right now, looking like brass. As if they burn in a furnace. Anything that you burn in a furnace, you could take a piece of paper, burn it. It's going to turn black. You could take it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You could take wood, like I'm gonna say cedar wood. You burn that, it's gonna turn black. So this right here, so you know that your feet gonna match the rest of your body. Your feet is going to match the rest of your body. I don't care how it's going to match the rest of your body. So anything that you burn in the furnace, it's going to turn black. So this right here letting you know that your Yahweh is a real dark skinned brother. A real dark skinned brother. Verse 15, I'm going to read it one more time. His feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. And I'm going to stop right there. As if they burned in a furnace. As if they burned in a furnace. And Yahweh, he was a Jew. Yahweh was from the tribe of Judah. Yahweh was king of the Jews. And to touch bases on that, I will show you. Let's look at Hebrews chapter 7, verse 14. It says, for it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood. So I'm going to read a little definition about the word Jew out of the Zondervan Compact Dictionary Bible. It says Jew. Originally, it denoted one belonging to the tribe of Judah, or the two tribes of the southern kingdom. But later, its meaning was extended and it was applied to anyone of the Hebrew race. So you had 12 brothers that was of the Hebrew race. You had 12 brothers that was of the Hebrew race, which was Jacob's sons, which they were. Because even when you look at that is short for Judah. So now I'm going to show you that the Most High peoples were Jews, and to show you the color of the Jews. When you look at Jeremiah chapter 14 and verse 2. Verse 2, Salaki. Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 2 says, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. So this is describing something. This is describing the people of Judah. And it's also describing that Judah is in mourning. So if the so-called white man, if he was a Jew, he don't have nothing to cry about. Why would he be crying when he owned everything? When I say he owned everything, He is in rulership. He is, he is in complete rulership right now. Complete rulership. You know, they control Hollywood. They control the media, the banks. They even had their hand, and they were slave traders. They not in mourning. They are not in mourning. It says, and the gate thereof languish. So these gates that it's talking about here in verse 2, it's talking about the people that are in like leadership. Say they are blessed unto the ground. I'm going to read that again. Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 2. Judah mourneth, and the gate of languish. They are black unto the ground. So, I just read the definition for the word Jew. The word Jew was describing the tribe of Judah amongst the rest of the other tribes. So, with that being said, this right here is telling you that they are blight unto the ground. So the Most High people, which are Jews, they are black. So the Jews are black people. Because when you look at Revelation 2:9, it says some say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. I'm kind of paraphrasing. I might have said it word for word, but I'm kind of paraphrasing. But I'm going to get that though. I read it right. Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. It says, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. If you ever been around a Jewish person or heard a Jewish person and you ask them where they go worship at, they say synagogue. So this right here goes hand in hand. This right here goes hand in hand. So even the prophets in the King James were called nigger. And I'm going to get that. When you look at Acts chapter 13 and verse 1, it says, now there were in the church at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was Niger, so the word Niger, that's a Latin word. The word Niger means black. It ain't describing nobody else. It is not describing nobody else. Even Job in the Bible is described as a black man. And I'm going to get that for you. When you go to Job chapter 30, Job chapter 30, verse 30. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat. Or even, and after the word me is a comma. But just that time, my skin is black upon me. Just describing how Job looked. This is describing how Job looked. I mean, even King Solomon is being described. When you look at the Songs of Solomon, Song of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 5. I am black, but calmly. And here, when it says, but calmly, this is what King Solomon is saying. I am black, but beautiful. And I mean, that right there is like self-explanatory. This is King Solomon. He's saying, I am black, but calmly. And this is letting you know, King Solomon is letting you know that he is saying about, this is what he is saying about himself, that I am black, but beautiful. I mean, even when you look at Moses, even Moses, how he is being described, let you know that he is black. Because once you know the 12 tribes chart, you'll know what Moses is. When you look at Exodus chapter 2, and verse 1, I have about, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4 to read, and this gonna give some insight on what Moses really looks like. Exodus, and there went a man of the house of Levi, and took to a wife a daughter of Levi. So now, when you look at the 12 tribes chart, the tribe of Levi are Haitians. So this is their name today. But when you go back and look at the biblical name, it's Levi. And Levi is the father of the tribe of the Haitians, which are now Haitians today, but their name changed to Haitian, to them going into captivity, going into slavery. Verse 2, and the woman conceived and bare a son, and when she saw him was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. So now I'm going to read verse 6. And when she opened it, so now this right here is the daughter of Pharaoh. This is the daughter of Pharaoh because she had came down to the river and, she washed herself and, she was with her maidens and things of that nature. But this is what happened in verse 6. And when she had opened it and saw the child, and behold, the babe wept, and she had compassion on him. This is one of the Hebrews' children. So Moses' mother, she hid Moses and she kind of put him like in a little ark. It was like a little crazy time back then. Killing kids wasn't even on their mind. So, she sought better just to send him down river, knowing that, he would be found by somebody, which he did, found by Pharaoh's daughter. So now I'm going to go into verse 10. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter. And he became her son, and she called his name Moses. And she said, because I drew him out of the water. So now verse 11. Now mind you, Moses is a Levi. But Moses knew as he grew that he was not an Egyptian. Because Moses knew that he didn't even look like an Egyptian. But he was raised amongst them. And Moses didn't even want to even take on them ways, but that's a whole nother class, it's a whole nother topic. And verse 11, and it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown that he went out unto his brethren. See, Moses knew. Moses knew he was an Israelite. And looked on their burdens, and he spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren. Moses knew. Moses knew he was an Israelite. Even when you look at Paul was an Israelite. When you go to Romans chapter 11, verse 1. And this is what Paul is saying. Paul say, I say then, hath the Most High God cast away his people? God forbid. Forbid meaning no. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. So, tribe of Benjamin, Salaki. Paul could have been a so-called Jamaican. Paul could have been Trinidad, Barbados, but he was from the tribe of Benjamin. And the tribe of Benjamin, when they went into slavery, they was scattered amongst the West Indies, which is known as the West Indies today. But you have like different islands that fall under the West Indies. Even when you look at like Joshua was from the tribe of Ephraim, or so-called Puerto Rican. Look at Hosea. Hosea was a Mexican. What we would call a Mexican today. From the tribe of Issachar. Hosea was an Issacharite. Joshua, an Ephraimite. All these people that I have discussed in my class tonight, from King James and abroad, even the Most High, Yahweh Shai. And when I say the Most High, I mean Yahweh. All the prophets, even down to the angels, all of these are so-called black people. The whole King James Bible is black history. There's no getting around it. So-called white man don't have nothing to do with the King James Bible. The only thing he did, just lied, and when we was in slavery, beat us half to death, saying that we should obey our master because we didn't know how to read English. He just used this book. He just used the King James book to look more than what he really is. And they have used our book to gain wealth, and even still to this day, but you know, like the Most High said, you're gonna get the reward of your hands. You know, you're gonna reap what you sow. But King James was a so-called black man. King James come from a royal bloodline, because we as so-called blacks, we have ruled Europe during the time that they call Dark Ages. So with that being said, you know, you can't let nobody fool you into thinking that King James was this, King James was that. You know, like I tell people, if somebody tell you something, they gotta have something to back up what they saying. They gotta have something to back up what they saying, you know. But here in the ISUPK and the Commander General Hunter, if we say something, we saying something, thus saith the Lord, thus saith the Most High. Plus, we got that Bible open. We got that Bible open, and we reading, and we giving it to you word for word. We giving it to you how it's written. We ain't like dicing it up. We don't believe in no private interpretation. We don't believe in that. We giving it to you as is. We giving it to you as is. And you know, like I always say, if you're not in the ISUPK and the Commander General Hunter, get in the ISUPK under Commander General Hunter. Get in the ISUPK under Commander General Hunter, because it would be the best thing that you have ever done for yourself. It would be the best thing that you have ever done. And you know, with that being said, I'm going to salute my brothers. Yahweh Shem, Yahweh Shabbarakathon. And to the sisters, Yahweh Shamar El Atham, Bahashem Yahweh Shah. Class dismissed.